Welcome back to Post Time and our Bobby Quillen Memorial edition of the show. Harrington Raceway's signature race, of course, attracts incredibly talented equines. But you know, there are horsemen and women behind those standout athletes. One of those men is Rick Zeron. Zeron's very first win was with Oxford Mary in 1975. The Ottawa native was the top driver in Montreal for years with 9 titles before moving to Ontario in 1995. Those blue and white colors have close to 8,000 career victories and have surpassed $4 million in earnings for 17 consecutive years. In 2010, he won the prestigious O'Brien Award for horsemanship, and in 2012, Zeron was inducted into the Oakville Sports Hall of Fame, which includes some of the greatest athletes in Canada. Rick, I've had so much fun researching you. I mean, I'm not even a big reader, okay? And I've just really enjoyed finding out so much information about you. So we're going to start like when you were a kid, because I love the story about you were very young and you actually dropped out of school to work with your stepdad. Is that right?
Well, my stepdad kind of dragged me out of school and told me I didn't need to go to school, that you're going to be with the horses and no more schooling for you. You didn't need any education. And we actually did have a visit from the truant officer, and then my stepdad, he had a shotgun in the barn. And he introduced the shotgun to the truant officer, and that was the end of me going to school.
Well, you know what? We don't condone that. However, it really worked out well for you.
Yeah, it did. It did, yes.
I also read another story about your first drive. Tell me about that. You got called into the judges and you thought they were going to congratulate you?
I thought it was great, Heather. I won my first race, and I started driving in August of 1975. And the judge was a very strict judge at the time, Mr. Smith, Claire Smith. And I drove and I won the race, and he phoned me up and he congratulated me, and he said, "You get a chance?" He says, "I want you to come in and see us, all the judges, tomorrow night." I thought it was great, so I went in to see the judges that night. I was all smiles and everything. He gave me a 5-day suspension for going to the first half too slow.
I have had so much fun reading about you. And one of the things, like the award, okay, a 2010 Horsemanship Award, the O'Brien Award, I personally think that's one of the hardest awards to get and one of the most prestigious and such a huge honor. And you getting it, I mean, aside being a dad to kids and all those type of personal milestones, is that your biggest victory in harness racing?
In harness racing, yeah. My biggest victory is having my 4 children. My wife having them, but we together, us having 4 children. That's my biggest victory. Winning that award meant a lot to me. It meant like a lot of years of work finally paid off.
I think a lot of people out there were just so cheering for you to get that award and so happy that it happened. So, you know, you won it and you won it for all your fans too. So, which, by the way, I read that you were going to retire. Like, this was way back. This was an old article. You talked about you were going to retire when you were 55. I'm so glad you didn't do that.
Well, that's a few years ago now. You know, and I had brought it up with my wife, Joyce, and I said, 55, that should do it for me. And when I turned 55, I felt great, and my owners didn't want to get out of the business with me. They still wanted to buy horses with me and still be partners with me. And I sat down with my wife and I said to her, I'm going to probably retire when I don't want to do this anymore. And when I wake up and I don't feel that I want to do this anymore, that's when I'll retire.
You know, not only are you known for, being such a great horseman, trainer and driver, which you don't see a lot of that anymore. Of course, that mostly it's catch drivers, different trainer. But you're also known for being such a fan favorite after you win a race. Tell me about how that all started. You were giving out whips and you seem to have goggles and gloves on hands too. What's that all about?
Well, I'm from Canada. Most people know, but I was from Ottawa, and in 1982 I decided that I'm going to make a move. A partner of mine lived in Montreal, Joe Carl, and he said to me, it's time for you to leave Rideau Carleton Raceway and move to Blue Bonnets. So I moved up to Blue Bonnets, and I walked in there, and I'm a little short little skinny English guy with a whole pack of Frenchmen up there, and I says, you know what, I got to stop and think. I got to have a little niche of what I should do here to get to become a fan favorite. So after each race that I won, I would give it away to a fan that was standing along the fence. And I would give my goggles away, or I would give my gloves away at the end of the night. And it caught on immensely, and they did articles, they did TV shows on it, and it still lives true to this day. They want to win big races, I give my goggles away and my gloves, and sometimes I even give my helmet away. I'll sign my helmet and give it away. So, yeah, but it goes a long way because people remember those things and they talk about them.
Absolutely, they do. I think, isn't that funny? Something that small, like a pair of goggles, and a kid gets that, and they're showing it off at school, and it's a keepsake.
For life. They cherish it for life. Yeah.
You're a cook, aren't you? That's the last personal thing I want to touch on before we get into the Quillen race. Well, maybe that's why I can't keep a man around because, I always tell people I'm cooking as fast as I can dial. So when did you get into cooking?
Years and years ago. I've always loved cooking. I find it so refreshing. People like going fishing and going on holidays. I love cooking. I find it very refreshing, and it's relaxing for me, and I enjoy it, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Italian, Mexican, what do you do best?
Not big on the Mexican, but at the Italian, the French cuisine, steaks, Italian food, I really like cooking that.
Okay, I'll be over next week then. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll get into the race now. Shambhala, tell me about him. Have you had him his whole life? When did you get him?
I got Shambhala last year in mid-May. Paul phoned me up that owned him and said to me, he wanted me to train the horse for him. He's got a little bit of issues making breaks and stuff like that. And I got a hold of him. We did some work on him, corrected what was wrong with him. And I went in 49 with him last year. So, I said he's only 4 years old. I didn't want to put him in with all the aged horses and have a tough go of it with a 4-year-old. So I shut him down mid-October. And I brought him back and qualified him in April. And as we were training him down, my assistant trainer, Shane Barrington, said to me, this is a creature now. He was a nice horse last year. This year he's a creature. And I went in 48 flat with him, and he's won a ton of races for me. He was second in the Pacing Derby last week, and he enjoys his work, and he can dig for home. I have him trained that he doesn't leave that much, but when he sees his face at the head of the stretch, he can dig.
Well, that's interesting because now we're on a half mile for the Quillen. So how do you think that's going to go? Because you were talking about, as far as him, not really a lever, right? What do you think will happen?
Well, he's not really a lever. I'm hoping that Yannick with the rail foiled again leaves hard. I imagine there's a 5-horse in there. It looks like he leaves pretty hard. So I'm going to probably be sitting in the 3-hole unless I can outleave Yannick, which I'm going to try. And if not, I walked out and I looked down the stretch, and it looks to me like a 2-passing lane. The passing lane doesn't look like a narrow passing lane for just one horse. It looks like a passing lane for 2. So if worst case scenario, if I'm sitting in the 3-hole and I'm stuck in there and I don't come first up, then I'm going to look forward to hitting the passing lane, see how much I can dig coming for home.
All right. Well, good luck tonight. Yes. And, is this your first time in Harrington?
Yes, it is. Yes, beautiful country. Yes, it's beautiful here. I love it. If the sun was shining, it'd be even more beautiful, but, I'll take what I can get.
Rick flew into a soybean field today, I believe, right?
Yeah, crop dusting field. Yeah, I was a little leery when my pilot brought my plane in, and he says, take a look where we're landing, and I looked up and went, oh, good Lord, thank God you're a good pilot.
He's like, no, I won't take a look, yeah. But, well, we're so glad to have you, and good luck tonight.
Well, thanks very much. It's great being here.